What's up guys, my name's Brandon, and watchOS 11 might not be as big of an update as watchOS 10 was, but it's still an important update with a lot of features that Apple didn't even mention. So in this video, I'm going to show you more than 40 new features and changes found in the new watchOS 11 updates. So the first change is a new redesigned Photos watch face, and you can see this is what that looks like. Now Apple says they use machine learning to determine the best photos to use based on facial expression and aesthetics. So you can create this inside of the watch application on your iPhone on iOS 18. And up top, we have new watch faces, and then we have photos. And from here, you will notice that it defaults to nature. So you can do this for nature as well. It does not have to be people, but if you go into there, you can choose between all of these different categories. And if you select people, you can tap on where it says one person, and then you can choose who you want the photos to be. So I'm going to choose myself and then tap done. And from here, you could also choose photos. So if it did not choose one that you like, you could choose a separate one there to add to the photo shuffle, and then tap on continue. And from here is where you can change all of the different styles. So we have the time size, so you have dynamic, extra large, all these different styles. We have the font style, the numerals, the style down here, we can change the background. So mine was the color backdrop, which I think looks pretty cool. You can change the color of the backdrop right there, and it updates in real time to show you what that would look like. You can choose the time color as well. So if you want to change it from there, you could tap on the plus as well to see all the different face colors going all the way back to 2015. And then you have the complications where you can add complications to the top or to the bottom. Now I found that the bottom ones don't look too great because they kind of cover your arm, but you can add those. I guess it's just this picture, so it might not apply to your picture, but you can see that is how it looks. You tap on add and it will send it to your Apple Watch. And that is what it looks like for me with one top complication. Also, Apple removed the Siri watch face in watchOS 11, and I will talk about why they removed that later on in this video, but that is no longer here to choose from. Now, these next few changes were not mentioned by Apple, but they are big quality of life changes. So if I play a video, you guys know how before in watchOS 10, it would take up the entire screen. The now playing platter would just take up your entire screen. But as you can see with watchOS 11, it just adds that now playing as a widget, and you still have your time and your date right there. It no longer takes up the entire screen, but if you want it to, you can simply tap on that widget and it takes you back to the view that you had with watchOS 10. So with watchOS 10, you could scroll up on the digital crown to access your widgets, but now with watchOS 11, you can scroll downwards to get access to your notifications. So this is a new, my personal preferred way to get to the notifications, just because I like using the digital crown instead of touching my screen. So you can touch your screen, of course, to access that, but it's just more convenient for me to use the digital crown. Now, another seemingly small change in watchOS 11 that's going to make a big difference is that your watch can now detect when you sleep outside of a sleeping schedule. And yes, this does also include when you take naps. I cannot tell you how many times I have not had sleep tracking work because I just simply was not in my sleep focus mode and I did not have my sleep schedule set up. But now you do not need to worry about that. Your watch will detect when you sleep, even if you don't have a sleeping schedule set up. Now, speaking of sleep, there's also another big quality of life change with sleep mode. So you know when your watch is in sleep mode, and watchOS 10, to get out of this section right here, you had to press and hold on the digital crown for what seemed like forever. It was like 5 seconds, but now with watchOS 11, that no longer exists. You simply press on the digital crown and it will go straight to the watch face, and then press again and you get access to your home screen. So if you are somebody who likes having sounds come from your Apple Watch when you get a phone call or a notification, you are going to love this next feature, because now if you go into your settings and into sounds and haptics and scroll down, you can see that for the first time ever on an Apple Watch, you can change the default ringtone, text tone, and all of your notification tones. And you can hear what those sound like in here. I really like the transmit one if I were to play a ringtone from my Apple Watch. I'm permanently a mute guy. I don't like having sounds come from my watch, but it is really nice to have the option to do that now. Now you might notice that there is not support for custom ringtones, unfortunately. So maybe in a future version, but for now, you only have these default sounds to choose from. Okay, so let's get back to some of the things that you actually bought an Apple Watch for, and that's probably fitness. So we have some big changes in the fitness application. So if you go to your activity rings here or into the activity application and go to the ring section and tap on your rings, we have a new option to pause rings. So this is going to allow you to take rest days. Basically, it says mute coaching and goal tracking while maintaining your move streak. So as you can read, it will maintain your streak if you were going for an award and maybe you got sick or you had surgery and you needed to recover. You can now pause your rings so you do not lose progress on your way to that streak. Now you can see you can pause for today, you can pause until the next week, so Monday, you can pause for the month or pause until up to 90 days, and you could also resume at any time. Now you might have also noticed that other option when you tap on the activity rings, and that is to change goals. So from here, you can change the goals not only for this specific day, but also for certain days of the week. So for example, if you don't like working out as much on weekends, you don't necessarily have to pause your rings, but maybe you don't want to have to work out as hard on the weekends. You can set different goals for maybe Saturday and Sunday. And then if you go into the fitness app and go to change goals, you will notice up top we have a new option for custom. And again, this does require iOS 18 on your phone as well. So from here, you can set custom goals based on the day of the week. So again, we're going to set lower goals for Saturday and Sunday. And then after you set that, if you go into change goals again, you will notice that the custom is the default. So if you want to go back to basic, you can tap that up top, but it now defaults to the custom goals. And by the way, you can change this from the Apple Watch itself as well. So if you go to change one of your goals, you have the option to change schedule now, where you can see your schedule and change it per day. So if I go to Saturday, you can change it for just that specific day. The fitness application on the iPhone has also been reworked. So you'll notice some minor visual changes here, like the step count, the step distance. That's a little bit separated now from the activity rings. But if you go down to the bottom, we have edit summary, and this allows you to go into sort of a widget-like mode where you can move widgets around. So you can move these different things around. So if I wanted my sessions to be up top, I could take this and drag and put it on top of those, or I can put it down below. You can also add by tapping in the top left-hand corner, and you will see that you have different categories: trainer tips, training load, friends, awards. You have all these different things that you could add into here. And there's also different variations, as you can see behind. So if I add hiking, for example, there are multiple different variations of the hiking widget. And if you go to see all categories, you can see all of your categories in a list view. Also in the fitness application, we have a new feature called training load. And this allows you to see how your workout impacts your body over time. So how this works is basically after you do an exercise, after you do a workout on your Apple Watch, Apple is going to use machine learning to determine your effort based on previous data. So if we go into one of my workouts from earlier today, I did an outdoor walk. You will notice at the bottom of this, or near the bottom, we have a section called effort, and I have a 4. Now, if you tap on that, you can edit this after the fact as well. And also, Apple will give you an automatic score at the end of your workouts if you have a setting in settings turned off. And that setting is, if we go into the settings application and then into workouts, there is a new section here, a new toggle that's called post-workout reminder. So if you have that turned on, you will be able to manually set your effort at the end of a workout. If you turn it off, Apple will automatically give you a score, and you can adjust it later if they got it wrong. Now, the way that Apple determines the training load, which I'll show here in a moment, is it takes the effort rating, which was a 4, and also the duration, which was 43 minutes, and it combines that to determine your training load. And that data is going to be graphed. If you go back to the fitness section here, up in the top right is where we have the training load section, where you can see everything graphed out here. And you'll notice that mine says pending 12 days remaining. And that's because I do not have an average yet. So you need to use this for 14 days to determine your baseline, to determine your average, so that Apple is able to determine if you're working too hard, not hard enough, or just right. And it will map that out on the graph. And underneath of the graph, you will notice that we have overnight vitals. And that's because we have a brand new application with watchOS 11 called Vitals. So if you scroll down to the bottom of your home page, you will see this new application, this blue and purple right there. If you tap on that, that's going to show you your vitals for the past 7 days or for today. And the whole point of the Vitals application is to show you the most important health metrics at a glance. And you can even see the training load in here as well. It's down at the bottom. So we have heart rate, respiratory rate, wrist temperature, blood oxygen, and your sleep duration. And they're kind of graphed out to see if they're average, above average, or below average. And if something is outside of your average, if something is outside of your typical, you can see mine is at typical right now, which is good. It will notify you. So you will get a notification if it detects that maybe something is off. And the example that Apple gave is maybe if you were drinking the night before, maybe that is why your sleep is off and your heart rate is off. So maybe it's going to say, not to drink so close to going to sleep. And the way it gets a lot of this data is from wearing your watch to sleep each night. So that's a good way to get, an average for your wrist temperature, of course, your sleep duration, and all of these. You can kind of just scroll through and see what each one is and if it's within the typical range or not. And if you tap on the eye for any of these, it will show you exactly what that is and factors that may cause an increase or a decrease. So it can really help you understand your body a lot better. And if you tap on the icon in the top left-hand corner, this will show you a week view. So if you want to see a full week view, it says past 7 days. You can see that. If you tap again, it will just show for today. But that is not the only new application in watchOS 11. If we scroll down, you can see that we have a new Translate application. So this is a new app on the Apple Watch, and this has support for up to 20 languages. And you can see a translation by typing or by dictating a phrase. You also have your favorites up here in the top left if you want to add a language as a favorite. And if you tap on the 3 dots in the top right, you have the option to play translations, the playback speed. So if you wanted to increase or decrease the speed of the translation, and also you can change the mode of input. And we also have a standalone Shazam application now on the Apple Watch. So it's right here. You can simply tap and it will listen for the music and tell you what that song was. And you can also scroll down or swipe down to see your history of different songs you've had Shazammed in the past. Now we also have some changes to the Smart Stack and the widgets on the Smart Stack. So now with watchOS 11, widgets will be added automatically based on the time and location. So for example, if it's about to rain, you will see a weather widget automatically get added to the Smart Stack. Or if you're traveling to a different country, you will get the Translate widget automatically in the Smart Stack. Now you can turn these off and you can configure these inside of the settings. So we have the Smart Stack section inside of settings. And if we go into there, we have 2 options. So live activities, which we'll get to in a moment, and widget suggestions. So if you go into here, you can turn this off if you would like. And you could also see the different applications that you can enable or disable to automatically show up on your widgets pane. And then we also have the section for live activities because we now have live activities on the widgets on the Apple Watch. So you can turn it off if you don't like that. And we also have auto launch live activities. So if you want it to start, if you want it to show the live activity right when it starts, you can auto launch that, and you can show live activities on wrist down. So if you don't want that to be on, you can turn that off, and you can see the different applications as well that have access to live activities. So if I set a timer for 5 minutes, for example, you can see that when I go into the section here, we have the live activity up top, and it shows that timer going in real time, of course, just like on the iPhone. So this also works for sports scores, for Uber, for a lot of other applications that you have live activities for on the iPhone that will now work on the Apple Watch in the Smart Stack. So here's a look at the Stopwatch and the Uber Eats live activities. So for the Stopwatch, you can see you can stop it and resume straight from the live activities section. And then we have Uber Eats that shows how long until our Uber Eats order arrives. This does also work for Uber, and of course other applications will work as well. And speaking of widgets, we have a new interface when adding a widget. So if you tap and hold to go into jiggle mode here to add or remove widgets, you'll notice that up in the top left, we now have a check mark, whereas before we had a done button up in the top right. And also this interface just looks more clean than it did previously. We also have widget suggestions down at the bottom, along with the current suggestions right now. And then we also have new widgets that you can add to the Smart Stack. So we have a Vitals widget. We have 2 different ones, weekly or daily vitals. We have a Translate widget, and there's also a new Photos widget, a new Training Load widget, and also a Severe Weather Alerts widget. Oh, and speaking of the Smart Stack, third-party applications can now add widgets to the Smart Stack as well, because that API is available to developers. Now, we also have a new feature that's going to allow you to unlock your HomeKit lock easier. So it's called ultra wideband home keys. So this allows you to unlock your door as you approach without having to hold your watch up to the lock to unlock it. So now, in theory, as you're walking up to your front door, before you had to literally tap your watch on the lock to unlock it, but now it will unlock as you're approaching your door as you're walking up to it. Another new feature that we have on the Apple Watch is check-in. So this is now on the Apple Watch. This was only on the iPhone previously, but this allows you to automatically notify a friend or a loved one when you've arrived at your destination. And this does usually pop up when you do like a maps navigation to get to a spot, but you can also now do this when it's related to a workout. So now when you start a workout, so let me just go ahead and do that. So now that we have a workout going, you'll notice if you swipe over, there's a new option down here for check-in. So you can do a check-in so you can notify somebody when you complete your workout. So maybe if you're going for a run late at night and maybe somebody is worried about you, especially if you're a woman, then you can maybe, send a check-in to somebody to let them know that you completed your workout without any issue. So if you want to set that to go automatically with your workouts, you can just go into your settings here and then go to workouts and then scroll down until you find check-in reminders. So if you go to that, it says Apple Watch can remind you to send a workout check-in when starting an outdoor workout. So now if we start a workout, you will notice that we have a prompt to start a check-in with whoever it thinks that you want to check in with. So if you want to change who that person is, you can just tap up in the top right-hand corner and choose the new check-in recipient. We also have some enhancements to the double tap feature. So if you have one of the latest Apple Watches with the double tap feature, which is where you can just double tap to perform actions on the Apple Watch like so, now with watchOS 11, you can scroll through any app hands-free. So if we go into the weather application, for example, and I double tap, you can see that it goes through the different pages on that application. It scrolls down for me. It does that without needing to touch the watch itself. Another example would be the fitness application. So now in the fitness app, if I double tap, it goes down those different pages for me. And the double tap API is also available for developers now. So third-party applications will be able to take advantage of this. In the Maps application, we now have support for hikes for all 63 US national parks. So you can save these to your watch to use offline. And you can also get turn-by-turn voice guidance. So if you go onto your iPhone on iOS 18 and scroll down on a national park, you will see we have the popular hikes section right here. So you can see a lot of the popular hikes. And if you tap on that to get directions, you will see that we have all these different data points. And if you go to directions, it will go ahead and put those in there, and it will work on your Apple Watch as well. You can also create custom routes for walking or hiking, which you can do on the iPhone as well. And then also offline maps downloads are now specifically downloaded onto the watch, and it doesn't rely on your iPhone. watchOS 11 also has enhanced GPS positioning, so you can now see the distance and route maps for more workouts, including rowing. And if you are a swimmer, there are new custom workouts for pool swims. So if you go down to the bottom and go to create workout, and then down here, purple, it shows custom. So from here, you can choose to create a custom workout. And also for the pool swim workouts, you can now see the water temperature. And also if you're doing a custom workout, you can now see what's coming up next. So you can see what's remaining in your current interval and also what's coming next. The cycle tracking now displays your gestational age and can help you track your pregnancy in the health application. There's also some changes to the wallet on the Apple Watch. So you can now see more information on tickets like directions to the parking lot, show times, and more. And also events will now appear as live activities in your smart stack. Oh, and the tap to cash feature also works on the Apple Watch. So now if you hold your Apple Watch up to an iPhone or up to another Apple Watch, you can now send money or receive money, similar to what we could do in the past with AirDrop with the name drop feature. And then in the timers application, we no longer have a plus icon up top for a new timer. We just have all of these existing ones right here. Now we have the plus down in the bottom right. Now, if you go into edit, you can remove or pin any of these timers. If you always use a certain time, like 27 minutes, I can pin that and now it stays up top. And there's also a slightly new UI when you add a timer to an existing timer. So if we go to 27 minutes here, and then we tap the plus up in the top right, and we want to add maybe 3 minutes, you can see that it now shows both timers at the same time instead of having to scroll through the two different timers that you have set. The stopwatch now has a black background, so it's kind of a dark mode, whereas on watchOS 10, it was white. It was kind of a light mode version. And you can see that applies to all of the screens, and also the button in watchOS 10, you couldn't really make out what it was. Now you can in watchOS 11, and you can see the difference there between the two. On the Pallette watch face, if you swipe up to go into the smart stack, you will notice that these seconds are missing from the clock. I'm not sure if that's a bug or a feature, but that is new. And also the hands on the clock are a different color. They have a different look to them. So that is watchOS 11. Not as flashy of an update as watchOS 10 was, but it is a pretty important update that brings a lot of great health features, fitness features, and quality of life changes. So if you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future watchOS 11 and iOS 18 videos. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.